Hello and welcome to rating every design of Spinosaurus in the media. For this, we're going to rate every Spinosaurus in movies, shows, and games that I can think of. And for the rating, we're going to do it purely based on my own opinions. Well, in my opinion, there's no better place to start than the classic designs of the Jurassic franchise. There's many, and I mean many designs from this one franchise, and though a lot of them are unique, a large majority of them are just Jurassic Park 3 Spino clones, so I won't be counting them sadly. The first appearance Spino has in the franchise is in Jurassic Park 3, with its classic red sail design. It's very much a product of its age, since we didn't really know much about Spinosaurus at the time, so we kind of just got a T-Rex, gave it bigger arms and a sail, and called it a day. I will say, although this design is very cool, I think it's done a lot of damage to what we see Spino as today. A lot of newer designs are constantly shot on by Jurassic Park 3 fanboys, and it's so sad to see, because the dinosaur they're glazing isn't even Spino, it's just a movie monster with the same name. Some positive things I do have to say about this guy though is, the colour scheme is very cool, with the grey body, red sail, and the patches of blue. This all together makes a very eye-catching and cool design. Our next Spino design is from Jurassic Park Builder. And I'll be honest, I don't really like this design. The colours look wrong in my opinion, and the model itself just feels boxy. But to be fair, that could just be because it's a mobile game. And then we have one of the stranger designs, I'll say. And that's the Jurassic World Lego game. And I'll be real, this may be peak. The design is so weird looking, and I love it. The only thing that does annoy me about the design is that we didn't get it as a Lego toy. That would have been so cool to have. We then have two designs to go over in our next game, Jurassic World Alive. We have the first design, which is a weirdly chunky Jurassic Park 3 Spino, but then we also have a Spinosaurus aegypticus, which does not fit into the game at all and its other designs. Our second to last Spino design is from Jurassic World Primal Ops, which I will say is probably one of my favourites out of the whole series. And our final design is Rebirth Spinosaurus, which although we haven't seen much of yet, from the toys and the leaks, we can see it's going to be lining up with more of the paleo-accurate Spino, with it being more aquatic, which I will say I'm a huge fan of. I think the colours are pretty cool, maybe the brown body isn't the best choice, but those sails are beautiful. So now that we have finished the Jurassic franchise, it's time to look at more spin-offs in other media, like shows, movies and documentaries. A very bad one which I remember is when dinosaurs ruled. This Spinosaurus to me looks so funny. It really does show how far our understanding of Spinosaurus and dinosaurs as a whole has changed over the years. Next after that we have the first anime I ever watched, which is Dinosaur King, and the Spinosaurus here is called Spiny. The design is extremely outdated, but I still fuck with it heavily because it has beautiful colours and all in all, it's an amazing show with a cool Spinosaurus. The next show we have is called Dinosaur Planet, which I think has one of my favourite Spinosaur designs. It shows a lot of research throughout the show, showing that Spinosaurus might have some little osteoderms similar to that of crocodiles. They also show it fishing for the majority of the show. It's not accurate for today's standards, but all in all, I like the design, it's pretty cool. We now have our first quadruped Spino, in the show Bigger Than T-Rex, and I'll be honest, I have mixed opinions about this guy. Like some parts I think are quite cool, but then again it's a quadruped, which is very strange and a very bold choice to make a Spino. Even though it was a bit more in the past, I still don't like Spinos being quadrupeds in general. You might not know this, but Spino is actually an amazing dino world. It's a quadruped again, which I cannot lie is a bold move to make, especially since this is one of the newer documentaries. It also fights a mosasaur, which is pretty cool I guess, but it's kind of an odd matchup I will say. Very different to the usual T-Rex versus Spino. Moving away from something semi-plausible and onto something which is 100% false, we have the Monsters Resurrected Spino. And what the fuck is this? Why is it a kaiju-sized dinosaur? I'm not really sure what the documentary was trying to do. They just gave it edgy colours like black and red and slapped on some spikes and then called it a day. I'll be honest, I don't like this Spino at all. The slightly cool one is the Sharp-Tooth Spino. And although it is obese, I do kind of like that it's not just a Rex clone like a majority of the sharp teeth in Land Before Time. And they also use its spine to defeat it, which I think is a very unique way to fight a Spinosaur. A more recent show that has quite a few Spino designs is Dinosaur Dan slash Diana. In this show we have three designs, the first of which is a neon green day gecko looking Spino, and it has lips weirdly, which we don't often see on theropods in general. The next design is a paper thin quadruped, which I like more than the neon green one, but I still don't think it's that good. And the final design is basically just an upgraded version of the highlighter Spino with duller colours and a better model version. We have a very edgy Spino next with Primeval, and I'll be honest, I think it's pretty good. The show as a whole is quite eye-catching design because it's a science fiction show, not a documentary. The other animals like the Mosa and Draco X also have very spiky and edgy looking designs, but in general I actually kind of like the Spino. It feels to me at least like a better version of the Monsters Resurrected Spino. Another retro design we have is the Dino Squad Spino. And I'll say I've actually never seen this show, but the premise does sound kinda cool. Basically, a group of kids get superpowers and they can turn to dinosaurs. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of sad I didn't get to see this. Because if I watched this when I was a kid, I would have 100% loved this. But the Spino itself fits in great with the designs of the show. But I think personally, it's not that great of a Spino. Another show I didn't get to watch was Dinosaur Train. And apparently there's a Spinosaurus in there as well. And I can't lie, I don't really like it. I think it looks really odd to me. It kind of looks like a Spino if it was homeless. Another kid show I didn't get to watch as well is Giganotosaurus. Similarly to Dino Squad, the Spino fits in great with the show, but for me personally, I don't like it. Like, come on now, it's 2025. Why do we have a Spino still looking like a malnourished JP3 Spino? Something a little bit different is the Transformers Dinobot Scorn. And although I don't usually like the edgy dinosaur designs, this design in general I actually really like. Its three spiky spines and that it's red and a robot, I don't think it could get much cooler if it tried. Now we have a more recent Spino with the YouTube series Sauria, which I'll say is utterly peak and you should 100% go watch it. And the Spino itself looks amazing. In my opinion, this is one of the coolest looking Spinos, and it's how I perfectly imagine a paleo-accurate Spinosaur. Our final Spino in this section is a Spino from Labria. And I'll be honest, I don't understand a single word that goes on in that show, I don't speak the same language, but the designs, pretty cool. And the Spino as well is amazing. It's like if the Sauria Spino and the JP Spino had a child. I love it so much. Now that we've seen all the Spinos in shows and movies, we can now look over the games. First starting with Primal Carnage. I'll say it's a pretty cool design. It is very much an early 2000s Jurassic Park 3-esque Spino. I think it's pretty cool and the colours stand out. The sound design as well is very nice. Now we have a very iconic dinosaur game with Ark, and their Spino is actually really cool. I like it quite a lot because it eats fish. It does have a quadruped and a bipedal stance, which even though I don't like the quadruped stance, I do like the idea that I can switch between the two. Now we have a Spino that looks like the Monsters Resurrected Spino, but is somehow made even edgier. With the Jurassic the Hunted Spino, I let the image speak for itself, but it's clearly just a Spino put on roids, slapped on some spikes, and called it a day. Personal favourite in the dinosaur game genre is carnivores, and some of you might have biases against the Spinosaurus due to its small size, but I promise you it makes sense within the lore. So the idea for carnivores is all the dinosaurs are cloned, for people to hunt. A lot of these maps are also on islands, so a lot of the creatures exhibit traits island-dwelling creatures have, like smaller creatures going bigger and larger creatures going smaller. We can even see this in the game, with larger carnivores like Allosaurus growing smaller, and smaller carnivores like Ceratosaurus growing a lot bigger. But back onto the Spino, I do really like it, even though it is a bit pudgy and quite small and sometimes acts like a raptor, I still think it's an overall okay design. And now we have a big name within the dinosaur community, the Isle. We have three, technically four designs. First within the Isle is the Legacy Spino with its paper-thin body and its full spine, which I really like, and I think makes it look very unique compared to the other Spinosaurs we've seen today. Then after that we have the Evermus Spino, which is such an early 2000s Spino, which I'm going to honest, I'm not a massive fan of, but I still think it's alright. And we also have two hybrid Spinos, which I'll say I'm not a fan of. They're alright, but god, they look bad. There's the Hypo and the Neuro. The Hypo I prefer because it looks more Godzilla-like, but the Neuro looks like a Xenomorph knockoff, so in my opinion, it's dog shit. Controversial, you have Pavatines right after the Isle, which I like quite a bit more than the Isle's design. I think the Spinosaurus looks a lot cooler with its paddle tail and its amazing sail. Next we have an old game from the DS called Fossil Fighters. And I'll be honest, I don't like this design very much at all. In my opinion, it just looks wrong. Like the colours, I just cannot get behind. We also have Parkasaurus, which again, I do not fuck with sadly. The colours are just kind of ass in my opinion. What's kind of crazy to me is a Roblox game like Prior Extinction has one of the best Spinosaur designs, with our modern day interpretation. I think it's near perfect pretty much. The colours, the model, it just all looks fab together. And as well as a little extra, it's got webbing between its fingers, which we don't actually have any evidence for, but I still think it's a nice little speculative detail to add to Spino. And finally, we have our ultimate Spino, which is my personal favourite, and that's the Prehistoric Kingdom Spino. In my opinion, it's the best design of Spino we have in general. The colours look amazing, the model's perfect with the paddle tail, and its little osteoderms, and even the crest on the top of its head looks amazing. So again, like I said, I think this is 100% the best Spinosaur design we have. Hey, this is the end of the video. If you watched all the way through, thank you, that's very kind of you. I don't really add outros, I know what really to say, so please subscribe, like the video, comment, that'd be very nice. But other than that, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.